that 9 car is even a little bit faster than that 42 car right now.
Yes, maybe. We've seen this today, that the car out front, Clean Air, has just a slight advantage, and that's all he needs right now. If he can maintain the pace that he's on right now, they can't catch him.
13 laps to go. The biggest resurgence of the day. Kevin Harvick's car was nowhere. It was barely on the second page of the speed chart, which is 21st on back. And look how he has climbed to 11th in these last 70 laps.
We've said it about the 48 team. This is how you win championships. Take a bad day. Don't get a big loss. Don't take a big hit. Come home with something that you can build on.
I mean, you saw it right there. He's not even been in the top 20 today, and here he is just outside the top 10.
He practiced and qualified in the 30s. He's never been this far up in the field practicing or qualifying.
Most of the day looked like he would lose the Sprint Cup point lead. Now looks like he'll carry it on to Bristol, and
look at
it'll be
this.
the first time in his career he's carried that point lead for 3 weeks in a row.
Look at Rogers' boy go.
Brad Keselowski, this by far would be the best run he's had since driving this 12 car, 3 or 4 races end of last year and this year.
The fastest last lap was Montoya, then Keselowski and Kurt Busch, and now Busch has stepped it up a bit this lap. He's a little quicker than Montoya, a 1/10 of a second. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be when you're trying to protect the lead.
Hey, you're chasing the champion right here. Don't forget that. He's going to save a little in reserve. Don't take any more chances. Just bring her home.
He's not going to abuse the right front tire or the right rear tire.
10 to go. Good shape.
Speed's at the line. How about that green machine in 6th place? If Allmendinger finishes there, it would be his best finish ever on a non-restrictor plate NASCAR race.
Montoya beat Kurt Busch that time by about a 1/10 of a second. 10 to go.
I know he's beating him a little bit, but it kind of reminds me when Hammond would say you're the fastest car on the track, but how come that guy in front of me keeps getting smaller?
Right. Tell you what, we just saw Allmendinger up there all over the back of Keselowski, no longer over the back of him. He's going to drive to the inside of him.
That's
Top 5.
That's 2 good ones right there now. Boys, y'all behave yourself.
That's an irresistible force on the left, immovable object on the right. And Paul Menard.
Wow.
We talked about him at the top of the day and all day long, having a career day, looking for his 3rd top 10 finish ever.
And I'm going to tell you outside of restrictor plate racing, regardless if they get the win or not, Richard Petty Motorsports, that's 3 cars up in the top 9 for that group.
Kane, Allmendinger, and Menard. That's right. Denny Hamlin trying to fight back. 1 lap down. Running just ahead of 8th place Martin Truex. And here Allmendinger wants more. He wants 4th place.
Well, we've seen this all day out of the 43 car. He gets better the longer he goes. He's really got a good long run car. This just about fell right into his range.
Matt Kenseth, that 17 car, evidently they may have went the wrong way on an adjustment because he continues to lose positions. 7 to go. Now that time Montoya beat Kurt Busch by 2.5 of a second.
Yeah, that was a big bite right there, and you can see it on that back straightaway. That's where we get the best gauge.
It looked that time like Busch was hunting a different line, Larry, kind of searching. Is there somewhere this car runs better? Is there somewhere else I can try?
I think you're right, but I also think Montoya, all of a sudden, he is taking that thing to the yellow line, and he is eating into that lead now.
Montoya is the only driver lapping this track under 32 seconds.
Another 2/10. We're down to a second with 6 to go.
Here's what he's figured out, Mike. High in 1 and 2, low in 3 and 4, and it's really paying off for him. Let's see if he just dives to the bottom here.
Less than a second between them with 6 to go.
And I mean, it is shrinking every corner of every lap.
I think what he's figured out, and it's really paying off, is he's running the high line down here 1 and 2, gets a good run down the back, and then just takes it to the bottom in 3 and 4.
Montoya's gaining 1/10 of a second a lap, but with 5 to go, that's not enough.
Not enough.
Well, actually, it's been 2/10 of a second. You do the math. 5 to go, less than a second. We might get there.
Well, now, that would not be a big surprise.
No, it would not. No, it would not.
The rubber band of Atlanta. Stretch them out, bring them all back together again for the finish. Here we come.
I think what Kurt Busch has done, I think maybe a spotter.
Baby. He's taking it too easy. Get it.
I think his spotter told him what Montoya is doing. Now he's trying it.
0.2 of a second again, 6/100ths, 4 to go.
It's going to be a bumper to bumper, probably front bumpers.
We're going to have a little bit of lap traffic up there in front of them. They're pretty scattered out, but they may catch those cars up there.
Boy, this is it right here. This is where Montoya really makes up huge amounts of time.
Montoya,
boy, he's struggling.
Searching his
Put that
first
pressure on him now. 3 to go.
first oval track win. He won it in Infineon 96 races ago on the road course.
And half a second.
And the 99 has turned over Brad Keselowski.
And we have a caution.
My goodness.
I don't know if I'm okay.
Keselowski was on track for a 6th place finish.
Boy,
we're told there was contact between Edwards and Keselowski.
And have we seen that somewhere once before?
Talladega last year and early in this race at lap 41.
A little crossover move here by Carl. Clean here, clean here. Just slight contact. Look at that thing go.
That looked so much like Edwards' turnover at Talladega off the bumper of Keselowski.
It really did, and I'm so wondering and hoping that when they put the spoiler back on these cars, they'll quit turning over like this.
Keselowski's put the window net down.
The roof flaps deployed, but it did not sit that car back down. I'm like you, Darrell. I'm going to be so glad to see that rear spoiler back on these cars.
I think that's it's got to be something to that.
That car took a hard hit in the left A pillar, the windshield post right in front of the driver.
You just see how that wing sticks out so far out the back of the car, behind the car. It almost looks, if it'll create downforce with the car going forward, it's got to create a pocket of air behind it when it gets around backwards.
Guys, you saw it right there. Those white gloves, they made a turn to the right.
Brad Keselowski has climbed out of his Penske Dodge. We're under caution with 6 laps to go. There's Brad. He's okay. Helmet, Hans device out.
He wasn't sure.
The best thing is he's walking away.
What a shame.
A fine ride undone. Little limp to his step.
Yeah, he's dazed, man. I mean, like he said, I don't know if I'm all right or not.
He's moving okay.
That looks a little better.
Yeah, much better.
Favoring that left foot.
A little hop in his step. But let's take you back almost a year to the last lap at Talladega in the spring. That's Brad in the black car. They're racing for the win. Carl said he may have come down just a bit. Brad held his line to keep from going over the yellow line. Ryan Newman gets wrecked, and Edwards flies into the fence. Now today, back at lap 41, watch the 12 on the bottom, the red car just barely gets into Edwards, sending Carl up and into Joey Logano, pretty much ruining both their days. Now both those cars were repaired, came back on track many laps down, but here with just a handful of laps to go, Edwards and Keselowski get together again.
All the flaps came open. The cowl flaps came open below the windshield. The roof flaps came open.
I think that if you just, you know, we didn't know this, had no way of knowing this until these cars started getting airborne like that, that rear wing sticking out behind the car so far. I know they say they tested it and they can't really verify that, but it sure looks that way.
But Terrell, I got to ask you, Carl Edwards is 156 laps down. What's going on here?
That was not necessary. Very unnecessary.